Yo, what is going on, everyone in the crypto space? Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a video on Ripple, the Interledger protocol, and its ties with the trillion-dollar tech giant. If you didn't know, recently, about a month ago, Apple just hit a full-on valuation of $1 trillion. And the first thing I kind of want to state before we get into the couple pieces of information that kind of show the ties between the Interledger protocol, Apple and Ripple, is that companies aren't going to not want to continue to grow. Just because Apple has hit $1 trillion, I doubt at the high executives of Apple, they're going, okay, we hit $1 trillion. All right, we're done. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and let's see how this plays out. Giants stay giants. They're going to continue to try to stay on top. No company wants to lose their position in the tech world. I mean, any company in general. I mean, you talk about any sort of major retailer, major tech company, major shoe company, they're always going to want to stay on the top, and they're going to continue to innovate to keep themselves on top. They aren't just going to hit a certain valuation or hit a certain point and go, okay, we're done. We're not going to continue or expand into anything else with all these profits. Now, here's the thing. Apple has recently, when I say recently, I mean like the last year or two, Apple has really started to make waves into payments. I remember like when I updated my phone one time, I can actually pull it up right now. On all iPhones, there is now an app on the homepage that is stated wallet. And what you can do is you can link your credit or debit card. You can scan codes for like boarding passes, movie tickets, retail coupons, rewards cards, and whatnot. But the most significant part here is that you can actually use your debit or credit card and pay with Apple Pay for the ease of transfer. So it's pretty obvious that this tech giant, they want to get into the payment space. I mean, they're for the most part a hardware company that just builds computers and phones and laptops and whatnot. But now it seems like they're really trying to expand into payments, and that's what I wanted to kind of get out of the way first, because I know when I had a stream one time and I talked about Apple, they said, oh, they're not a payments company, how are they going to benefit? But it's like, yeah, they're not a payments company, but that seems like certainly something they want to branch into. So let's not delay it any further. Let's go ahead and get into the couple pieces of information that point towards their ties. Now, first off, I want to make a clear statement that I'm not saying that this is a partnership. I don't think this is an official partnership or whatnot, but I do think they are, in some cases, directly and indirectly working with each other. First thing right here, this came out back on April 6th. Apple has announced that the support of the W3C payment request API in Safari, it uses Ripple's Interledger. You see right here, we were pleased to announce that the Safari 11.1 on macOS and Safari on iOS 11.3 now support the W3C payment request API. And what changed about the W3C payment request API? Is that the specification defines the Interledger payment method for use instance with the payment request API. With it, merchants can request a payment that follows the Interledger standards. And it says the Interledger protocol defines a number of standards that can be universally applied to all payments, irrespective of the network used to initiate or receive the payment. So it's clearly used on the Interledger protocol, which is an open source network. That's pretty much what Ripple and XRP are based on. And also, you can see down here that some of the editors of this W3C payment API is Adrian Hope-Bale, actually from Ripple. And you can see some other people here from Alibaba, Facebook, and WorldPay. So even though it's not like a direct correlation, it still is the Interledger protocol, which Ripple has really invested on top of. And you can see, again, one of the editors there of the API is a person from Ripple. And then they did actually integrate that new payment API within Safari. So in the Interledger protocol, even though it's open source, it is still heavily invested in by Ripple and a bunch of other companies, is that it still was integrated within Safari. And then to prove that here, where the screenshot where it states that they've integrated the W3C payment request API, this a website called webkit.org, which is where they announced it. At the very bottom, it says WebKit, and the WebKit logo are trademarks of Apple Incorporated. So WebKit is actually owned by Apple, and they're the subsidiary that does make improvements into Safari. So Safari is 100% confirmed, integrated with the Interledger protocol. Now let's get into a little more less specific kind of piece of information. So this first thing right here, I know you've probably seen this video when C3Nick tweeted it, absolutely exploded. So let's go ahead and I want you guys to give this a listen. It's a very explicit statement, so it's pretty much straightforward about what he actually says.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. We gave a presentation at Apple, and they called it the Amazon Prime for the whole internet. So there's the other.
So they met up with Apple and they called it the Amazon Prime of the internet. Now, although it is just a statement, I find it very significant that Stephen Thomas from Coil, and Coil, by the way, if you guys don't know what it is, so Stephen Thomas was the CTO of Ripple, but then left Ripple to end up starting Coil, which is a company to enable microtransactions on the web and a new form of monetization, and does invest heavily on top of the XRP ecosystem. So Stephen Thomas from Coil actually met with Apple and gave them a little presentation, and they actually defined it as the Amazon Prime of the internet. But the most significant part here is not the fact that they made that statement. It's the fact that their company could actually, is that a $1 trillion tech company actually gave up part of their time to listen to what he had to say. And they actually made a very positive comment on it. So again, they're making a very positive comment on a company that is investing heavily into the XRP ecosystem. And that presentation, I can guarantee you, did talk about XRP, because microtransactions throughout the web can only be initiated and really be successful with XRP, because no other payment platform has a very strong aspect of microtransactions, because the fees end up being more than what you're actually trying to send. So I can almost guarantee you in this presentation, they did bring up XRP. Coil is heavily invested, just like Ripple, on top of the XRP ecosystem, and Coil is enabled through XRP. If Coil does not utilize XRP, it really can't succeed, because microtransactions are going to have to be enabled through a really good bridge asset that has such a low fee at a fast rate without having the intermediary of a bank, which can take days and sometimes weeks. So again, I am like 99% sure that in that presentation, XRP was brought up as the asset for enabling new monetization for the web. Now, the last piece of info I want to show you guys that kind of ties in Ripple, Apple, and the Interledger is that recently, back in May, when they had the first, like mobile app come out and be live on Xcurrent, it actually shows right here. This is a screenshot from the video. It actually says on the bottom here, "Pay with Apple Pay," and if we can actually pull up the video, there is no audio to it, but you can see they choose the currency and whatnot. And even though this is a demo, essentially the fact that it still says it, I find very significant, because this is obviously on the OnePay FX app. So, and then right there, you can see at the bottom, it says, boom, right there, "Pay with Apple Pay." So right there, right when he hits accept, they just initiated a transaction through OnePay FX, through the Ripple blockchain or Xcurrent. So essentially right there, he literally, on the demo, it showed "Pay with Apple Pay." So the transaction actually went from Apple Pay through Xcurrent to the receiving bank. So right there is just showing that on OnePay FX currently right now, if you are in the select 4 countries, you can actually initiate a payment through Xcurrent from Apple Pay. So it is kind of an indirect tie there, but it just shows how the network can be interoperable with each other, and how Apple is really starting to get into the payment space. Because if Apple was not trying to get into the payment market and get a nice piece of their market share, why would they be working with banks like Santander to try to get a "Pay with Apple Pay" tag, right? You know what I mean? So obviously Apple, they're trying to get into payments, and they're clearly making advantages to do so. And as well as the Interledger protocol is 100% confirmed as a couple months ago, being integrated with Safari, and the fact that this $1 trillion company gave up a portion of their time to listen to what Stephen Thomas says about his company that invests heavily on top of the XRP ecosystem to provide a new form of monetization for the web and get rid of pay barriers. So thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really am trying to ease back on the speculation. So if you feel like I speculated too much on something, let me know in the comments below. So I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Check the links in the description. If you do want to support the channel, get yourself a Ledger Nano S. Keep that cryptocurrency safe. And turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video or a stream. So thank you guys for tuning in this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.